Welcome to this wonderland, come take a ride. Wordsworth Model Railway, where dreams reside. Crafted by Mike's hands with love and care. A world of trains and tracks for all to share. On YouTube channel, stories unfold. Let's build a card kit, let's watch trains roll. Through scenic landscapes they glide with ease, bringing joy and peace like a gentle breeze. All aboard the Wordsworth tracks. Download your dreams, no looking back. Free to build, free to play. In Mike's world, let your imagination sway.
Hello, welcome to Wordsworth Model Railway. My name's Mike, and in today's little video we'll be doing Let's Build a Card Kit. And this little sew here is Gibbs. I've already glued my printed sheets onto some 2mm card. There's a single sheet that goes onto 1mm card, and then the final piece is a print only, which has the detailing and roof parts. So we'll make a start. I've got all the other sections away, and this is the only piece I've got on the cutting mat. We'll make a start cutting these sections out and freeing them from the 2mm cardboard. Okay, just forgot I'm actually working in the wife's sewing room, and I don't want to be cutting on her cutting mat, so I've just got my cutting mat in place now, and we'll make a start. Like I said, cutting all these individual sections out. So we've now got our first sections cut out. I've taken the time to actually cut out the windows, and there we can discard those. We can actually put these end walls to one side for now, and we will concentrate on these three sections here. Normally what I would do at this stage is actually tidy up these inner raw edges by using some brown acrylic paint, but on this occasion, for the purpose of the build, I'm going to forsake that so we can carry on. So the first thing we will do is move this to one side. We'll apply glue to this section, and we will glue this top fascia panel directly over the top, like so. So we've got our upper window section glued to the base. These are just holding it whilst the glue sets, and then we will repeat the process by gluing this section onto the backing section here. Here we are with all three sections now glued together. We've got the bulldog clips just keeping everything in place until the glue sets. So what we can do is actually move this out of the way, and we can turn our attention to the next piece of card. So here we have the next section I wish to work on. It's the back of the building. So just like we did with the first piece of card, we'll cut out this section, cut out this section. I'll leave the doorsteps because they're so small. I'll leave them on this big piece of card we can put to one side so we don't lose these. And I'll also cut out all these openings at the same time. So let's get this done. Here we are with our next two sections cut out. Just like we did with the front wall sections, we will now glue these two together like so. So we've now got our rear wall gluing, and we've got it held with these bulldog clips to the glue dries. This is the front section that we did earlier. We can now put these to one side and we can bring in the next piece of cardboard that needs cutting. Here we are with the next pieces to cut out. These are the side wall sections. We'll get these quickly cut out and we can move on. We now have all our side walls cut out. What we need to do is just move this piece to one side because we don't need that just yet, and we need to bring back in these two sections and we need to start gluing these together. So that goes with this one goes with that. Then we'll attach some wraparound brick edging to cover up the raw edge, and then finally we'll get this section put into place. So let's make a start. This is our first wall section, so we'll move this piece to one side and concentrate on these two sections here, which will glue back to back like so. We've applied glue to both sections and we've got them held in place with these bulldog clips. We'll just put this to one side, let the glue dry. In the meantime, we will cut out some coverage strips for these edges. So this is our print only section, and these are the end covering strips that we're going to look at. We'll just cut these two out, leave these two in because they're for the other wall section, and the dotted red lines are so we can do some score lines down here to make them easy to fold. So let me get these cut out and I'll show you what I mean. I've now got the two covering strips cut out. As can be seen, I've pre-folded them. I've used this little tool here to actually go down the red lines. Just helps fold them, but you don't need one of these. To be honest, in my earlier days when I was quite a cheapskate, if you have a ballpoint pen where the ink runs out, don't throw it away, because the little ball in that pen nib does exactly the same thing when you put your ruler onto the red line and run it down those red lines to make these scores. So you don't need to buy one of these. Just wait till your ballpoint pen runs out and you've got one. So this is the piece with the edging glued on. What we will do now is actually glue on this section here. And no, I haven't got a dog paw. This is Gibbs trying to get in to help me build the kit. But you're much too young, Gibbs. You're only 9 months old. You've got to be a little bit older. Now I've got Gibbs out of the way. Let's get this section glued onto here, and then we can replicate this with the other side. We now have all three sections glued together. Let's just put these to one side and we will replicate the opposite end. These are the three sections, so we will glue these together and then that will go on so it looks like this section here. We now have our two wall sections completed. We're just waiting for the glue to set. This is our centre support section that goes between the front and rear fascia of the building. We've got the front section, we've got the rear section. Once these have dried, we can now start gluing this together to form the base of the house. Let's move these two sections to one side. What we can do is make a start by gluing this section into these slots. So let me get some glue applied. We now have our centre strengthening section glued in place. That's the back. Front. What we need to do is get these two sections glued onto the ends. Just need to be careful, there is a back wall and a front wall. If you notice, there's a larger gap at the front due to this upper section here. So let's get some glue applied and get these two sections on, and then that'll complete the bottom half of the house. We've now got our final wall sections glued in place. Handling it a bit delicate because the glue is still drying, but what we can do is now put this to one side and we can now concentrate on putting the roof section on. So we'll get this off the board and we'll get the roof section so we can start cutting that out. So the roof section is this piece here. It's actually glued onto some 1mm card. We've got our fascia barge boards here, and we've got our chimney stacks for each of the semi. So let's get this cut out and we can go from there. Here's our roof section cut out. I've pre-scored the line down here just by cutting through about half its thickness. It just allows it to fold easier to form the apex roof that we require. But before we put this onto the house, we need to cover this roof section with the red pan tiles. So let me get the print only section with the covering and we'll get those cut out and scored, and I'll show you those before we actually put it onto this card. This is our print only section. These are the pan tiles that are going on my particular house and will be supplied with a kit. We've got some dotted lines that we need to score, makes it easy to fold, and then we'll get it cut out and glued onto that roof section. Here we are, pan tiles covering sections cut out. Got them pre-folded. We just need to bring back our apex roof. We just need to glue those sections on and get these folded over. Here we have our pan tiles glued on. This is now ready to be attached to the house. So here's our house base. Here's the roof. We'll get some glue applied to all these sections and we'll get it glued on. Now I've got my roof glued on. I think it's taking shape really nicely. We'll get the barge boards on each of these ends. We'll get the ridge tile section glued on across here, and then the only thing we need then is the chimney pots to go on. Quite pleased with how the kit's come together so far. I'm hoping everyone out there that's been waiting for this is going to love it too. Now we've got our roof glued to our house base, let's get the ridge tile section covered and then we can move on. So this is our print only section, not many pieces left now. Here's our ridge tiles. Let's get this cut out and then glued onto that pan tile roof. Here we are, we've got our ridge tiles glued onto the building. I want to now turn my attention to the barge boards. So let's put this to one side, get our 1mm card and let's get these cut out. Got my 2 barge boards cut out. All we need to do now is apply some glue and fix them onto the side of the building. Here we go, we've now got our barge boards glued on to both ends. Roof, ridge tiles, back doors, front doors. We can now turn our attention to the chimney stacks and chimney pots. These are our chimney stacks. We've got 2, one for each side of the building. So we'll cut one section out to make one chimney stack and we'll get that built, and then the other one builds in exactly the same way. So we'll get one of these cut out. We've now got our chimney stack pieces cut out. What we need to do is glue this piece onto this section here, and then we can build around using these sections here. We've now got our chimney stack built. What we need to do is apply the edging covers and the top capping cover, and then that's the stack complete, and it just requires the chimney pot. We now turn our attention to the corner coverings for the chimney stack. That's one, that's for the other one. Once again, they've got score lines down the centre, which we can do. So let's get this first set cut out and then we can get them glued to our stack. We've now got our 4 sections cut out. I've pre-folded them. Here's our chimney stack, and all we need to do is glue those onto the corner. So let me get these glued and then we'll carry on. We've now applied the corner coverings, covered those raw edges nicely. We now need to turn our attention to this top section and cut out the covering strip for this. And this is our chimney covering section. So we'll score down each one of these, cut it out, and then it fits onto the top here. We've now got the chimney stack covering top installed. all we need to do now is do the chimney pot, and then we can glue that to the building and then replicate another one of those for the other part of the house. Here are our chimney pots. All we need to do is cut these out, and then I will attempt to show you how I roll these up and glue them and then get them onto the chimney stack itself. Now I've got the chimney pot cut out, and we're going to roll this up to form the chimney pot. But before we do that, we'll get a black marker pen and just get rid of some of this white, so when it's rolled up and you actually look in the top, you'll actually see it being black and not white paper. So I've used the marker pen, I haven't covered it all, I've just done the bit that will show once we've rolled this up. Now, to make it a little bit easier to roll, we need to try and get this to curl. So if I pull this through here, to the other end, so it started to curl. What we now need is a drill bit or an Allen key to wrap this round to form the chimney pot. Now I've just used a 2mm Allen key to wrap that chimney pot round it, and I've got it glued, and we just need to slide that off, and there is our chimney pot. Now we have my chimney pot glued to the chimney stack. Like I said, all you've got to do now is replicate this, so you've got two, and then we can glue it to the top of the house. We've now got our chimney stack and chimney pot glued to the first part of the semi. We now need to get the second one built so we can get that one fixed here, and then that's the kit actually built. So let me get this other chimney stack. We've now got the last chimney stack and chimney pot onto the house. That's it all finished, and all we need to do now is give you a quick look at the roof and the other side. Really enjoyed making this kit. I hope this video has helped you should you wish to download it and build it yourself. Remember, these kits are in basic form, so if you want to weather them, that's fine. If you want to apply some matte acrylic varnish to protect the finish, that's fine. You can also cut out these window panes and apply some clear acrylic, and then you can attach maybe some curtains inside, so put LEDs inside to light up your buildings. I'm just providing you with the basic kit. What you do with it, just use your imagination. This brings us to the end of another Let's Build a Card kit. That was the 1960s style semi-detached house. Hope you made it to the end. Hope you enjoyed the basic tutorial, and remember, all the kits on the website are free to download. I hope you'll join me on the next video, which I will try to make as soon as I can. Thank you very much, and I'll catch you all later. Bye.